Hi, welcome back to Joe Blogs. If you follow the channel, you'll know that I've said that on hundreds of occasions. I've actually posted over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and I've said that phrase at the start of every single one of them. And we all get a little bit blasé about it. You don't even think about it. But there have been times over the last 5 days when I've been thinking I would never say it again. Because on Thursday the 28th of March, my channel was hacked and taken over by cryptocurrency scammers. I didn't have any access to the channel, and it was actually extremely difficult to be able to contact YouTube and Google to tell them what was going on. And there were some very dark moments when I thought that it was gone forever, that I would have to start an entirely new channel. And I actually did that really just to keep myself going. And the amount of support and love and generosity that I've seen from the fan base has been absolutely immense. And I'd like to say thank you so much to everybody that sent me a message, bought me a coffee, or signed up as a patron. Really appreciate all of that support. I'm not sure I would have been able to get through the last week or so without all of those messages. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about exactly what happened, how the channel was hacked, how I fell for one of the biggest scams going around YouTube at the moment. And there are some gigantic channels that are going down to this same scam. This is becoming an epidemic. I'll go through the details of exactly what happened during the period whilst the scammers had control of the channel. I'll talk to you about how I managed to regain control, how I got in touch with YouTube, because that is actually much more difficult than you would expect, because Google and YouTube, because they are so big, they don't have any phone numbers that you can contact them on. They don't have any live chat facilities that you can just go to and say, hey, my channel's been hacked. Can you sort this out for me? It's extremely difficult if somebody changes all of your passwords and all of your two-factor authentications and you can't get back into your account. You are in a world of pain. So we'll go through exactly what I did to be able to get over all of those obstacles. We'll also talk about why the hackers are doing this, what their end game is, and how they're making financial gain from all of this. We'll then go on to talk about all of the support and generosity that I've received over the last week or so. And at this point in the video, I'd just like to give a shout out to Jake Bro and Darren from Professor Gerdis, because both of those guys have been extremely supportive. I posted a message almost instantly after I was hacked onto Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, because they were the only two ways I had of being in contact with anybody. Jake Bro picked up on that almost immediately. I don't know whether he saw it himself or whether one of his supporters mentioned it to him, and he posted up on his channel that everybody should help me out and try to support me. So I really appreciate that. And off the back of Jake Bro posting that, Darren from Professor Gerdis made 2 videos about the hacking, which also helped to drive more traffic to Joe Blogs 2.0. So thank you so much to those guys. Really appreciate your support. And after we've been through all of the details, I'll wrap up with my summary as to how you can avoid this happening to you and your favourite YouTubers. One thing I wanted to mention before we go into the video is that the Stiltman raffle actually finishes in a couple of days. Obviously, the timing of the hacking hasn't been ideal in terms of the finish of this raffle, and I would have liked to have extended it for another couple of weeks. But unfortunately, because of the rules and regulations around these things, I'm not able to do that. So I just wanted to mention that if you're interested in winning Stiltman, which is an original sculpture that's been featuring on the channel for over 3 years, then please have a look at the video at the end of today's video. So I'm sure everybody watching this video is thinking, so how did you get hacked? What did you fall for? How did they break through your defenses? Because you're constantly telling us to use VPNs, which protect you from hacking and tracking and scams. And that's right, they do protect you. And I do use VPNs, so I should have been fully protected. But the problem came because I dropped my guard. Now, one of the ways that YouTubers support themselves is by doing promotions for other companies. Now, I've limited the amount of promotions that I do. 12 months ago, I was doing quite a lot of promotions for all sorts of different brands. But I decided that I wanted to cut back on that because, firstly, I don't really enjoy doing them. I don't like companies telling me what to do, telling me how to present their brand, and me actually promoting it. So I have a bit of an issue with that. But secondly, I also wanted to be a lot more selective in terms of which brands I was actually working for. I wanted to make sure that they actually fitted in with what I'm talking about. So I have reduced it to things like VPNs and news channels and other things that I think would actually be useful for you guys to actually buy. So I was approached recently by a major international brand, and I won't say what it was, but it is a household name that everybody would be familiar with. And as part of this campaign, I was told that the brand wanted to raise its profile and talk about its environmental credentials. So at face value, the initial email and the approach looked kosher, and I wanted to make sure that it was. So I went back and said, okay, I might be interested in this. Can you provide me with more details? Now, usually if you're talking to a scammer, they don't respond. You don't get that follow-up email. The first email says, here's all the details, click on this link here, and this will give you more information. And that's where you get hit with the scam. That's usually where the malware or some sort of virus enters your computer. So I never, ever go for those first email clicks. So I went back and responded by email and said, okay, please provide me with more information. I then got more information, more details. And again, this was written really, really well. Usually with scammers, you can see things like grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, all sorts of things that raise red flags that say to you, actually, this doesn't look real. This looks like some sort of scam. The other thing that was really good about this scam was that the email address checked out, because usually you get an email from somebody saying, hey, I represent Coca-Cola or something like that. But when you go into their email and check out what the address is, it will be some letters and numbers at gmail.com. So an utter nonsense address. So it doesn't say JoeBlogs at Coca-Cola.com, which would obviously then give you a little bit more credibility. So I checked out the email address. It looked good. It looked kosher. I had some email correspondence, 4 or 5 emails over the course of a couple of weeks. And usually with scammers, they give up by this time, or they just don't respond, or it takes them 3 days to respond, and then they come back saying, hey, why haven't you responded to my first email? Completely ignoring your response, all of those sort of things. So this thing checked out. It looked real, and it looked like it was going to be a really interesting promotional campaign. So I agreed to sign up, and they then sent me the assets. And this is entirely usual. So when you sign up to a campaign, they then send you some videos, which is usually professionally shot video of their brand, lots of nice glossy images, which you can use to supplement what you're talking about. So I will say, hey, I'm talking about this product, and then I show you some glossy clip, and then I talk a bit more and show you some other glossy clips. So that's exactly what happens when you're talking to these brands. So this brand sent me all of the assets, which all checked out, and they then sent me a media kit. And the media kit, once again, is something that you usually get, and this has things like the company's logo and things that you can use as part of your presentation. And it was this media kit that caused me the problem. When I clicked into it, it didn't work. I then sent an email to the people saying, it doesn't work, your media kit is malfunctioning. They responded by saying, oh, that's okay, we will send you another version of it. So they sent me another email. Again, this put me at ease because I thought, well, they've responded. Normally a scammer just wouldn't respond at this point. They'd run for the hills. But these guys actually came back and said, that's not a problem. We'll send you a revised link. I clicked on that link. It didn't work. And then I gave up on it. And about an hour later, I then started to receive all of these messages from Gmail. The first one said, your password has been changed. The second one, which came about 3 seconds later, said your phone details have been changed. The third one, which came another 5 or 6 seconds later, said that my 8-digit authentication codes had all been changed. And I then got another email saying that my backup email had also been changed. So in the space of around 30 seconds, everything with regards to all of my passwords and backup and two-factor authentication had been changed. And what this meant was that I no longer had access to my Gmail account. So I tried to log into it. I couldn't get into it. Every time I went into the recovery process, it said, we've sent a 6-digit code to your backup email. But of course, by that stage, my backup email had been changed by the hackers to whatever they'd set it as. So I wasn't getting any of those codes. So I was in this nightmare loop for around about an hour or so. I just couldn't get out of it. I was trying to reset everything. I then decided, well, I need to contact Gmail to sort this out, tell them that I've been hacked, and they can reset it at source and everything will be fine. And it was at that point that I realized that Gmail does not have any sort of helplines, so you can't phone anybody and say, help me, my Gmail's under attack. That isn't an option. And they don't have any online chat either, so you can't go to even a chat bot and say, please help me, I've been hacked. The only way that you can reset your Gmail is by resetting your Gmail, by going in and actually resetting your password. But obviously the problem with that system is that if somebody hacks all of your details and changes all of your security, then you've got no way of getting it back. So the next thing that I did, like most of us would, is go onto YouTube to find out how to fix this problem, because I thought, well, other people must have been through this, there must be an easy fix. And I then started watching all of these videos from people saying, well, you might not actually get your Gmail back. It might be gone forever because of this loop system. If you don't know any of your security details, then you might never get it back. So obviously that didn't make me feel particularly good. So at this point I thought, I really need to do something about my YouTube channel because it's linked to my Gmail, and obviously I can't get into my Gmail, so therefore I won't be able to get into YouTube. And I couldn't log in to see what was happening. So I did a generic search on the internet for Joe Blogs YouTube, and at that point I found out that the channel had been hacked and taken over by the hackers. What they'd done is deleted all of my videos and uploaded a whole lot of stuff about a cryptocurrency called Ripple. Well, Ripple isn't actually the cryptocurrency. Ripple is a business that owns a cryptocurrency called XRP. Now, Ripple wasn't actually the perpetrator of this hijacking. They're not a company that goes around taking over people's YouTube channels. The hackers uploaded a lot of stuff about Ripple, and I'll go into the details as to why they did that later in the video. But what happened over the course of the next 4 days was an absolute nightmare, because I had to sit there watching all of these videos constantly showing on the Joe Blogs channel. It was no longer called Joe Blogs. They'd actually changed the name of it to Ripple, and they changed everything about it. They also switched off all of the comments, so all of you guys as my subscribers couldn't actually make any comments saying, what is going on here? What's happening? So I had no way of getting a message to anybody. It was a nightmare, a horrible, horrible situation. So what I did, I jumped onto the two other sources of contact that I have with you guys. The first of them is Patreon, and the second of them is Buy Me a Coffee. So I instantly went onto both of those sites and uploaded a message saying, I've been hacked and the channel has been taken over. It's been hijacked. The videos on there are nothing to do with me, and I am doing as best I can to try to get it back. However, in the meantime, I've set up a new channel, which I called Joe Blogs 2.0, and I asked everybody to subscribe to that channel because at that point in time, I had no way of knowing whether or not I was ever going to get my YouTube channel back. And over the course of the next few days, I got more than 20,000 subscribers. It was absolutely incredible. So one of the other big questions is, why did the hackers do this? What is the point of taking over somebody's YouTube channel if ultimately YouTube is going to take it down and stop it and put an end to it? What's the point? Did they make any financial gain out of having control of my channel for 3 days? Well, the answer to that is probably. Now, firstly, they didn't make any financial gain out of me. At the time that they took over the channel, the 28th of March, was actually a bad time in terms of trying to hijack any income that's paid to YouTubers, because YouTubers are paid directly by Google on around the 23rd or the 24th of the month. So the fact that they took over my channel on the 28th of the month meant that they just missed a payment, and they would have had to wait another 3 weeks or so before another payment was due to me. Now, I don't actually know whether or not the hackers could have successfully changed my account details and made the payment to them, because AdSense, which is run by Google, is actually a separate business. And I think if you want to change your bank account details, you have to go through some sort of process with Google to do that. I don't know for sure because I haven't actually done it. So I don't know whether or not it's possible for a hacker to be able to start taking income directly out of Google when they're controlling the account. But it didn't happen to me. So I didn't lose out financially from that side of things. I did lose out financially, obviously, for not having any videos posted on the channel for around 5 days. So I lost any advertising revenue that would have related to those videos. So I have lost some income there. But that's been offset by all of the super generous support that I've received from you guys. So don't worry about any of that. I think overall it's fine from my point of view. But in terms of why the hackers did this and the financial gain that they may have made, the reason that they took over my channel was to start promoting Ripple, which is linked to the XRP cryptocurrency. Ripple is the company that owns it. And I believe that the reason that they did that is that the hackers are doing what's called a pump and dump. So the hackers potentially could have bought a lot of the XRP coin, which is the cryptocurrency that they were promoting with all of the videos on my channel. Now, I didn't actually watch any of those videos. I didn't click into any of the links. Obviously, I was fuming at the time, and therefore I didn't want to support anything that was happening on my channel. But I believe there was a link in all of the videos that they were running on the channel, which took you to a page that enabled you to buy the XRP currency. So basically what they were doing is trying to promote the currency that they were holding with a view to the price of it going up, and therefore their holding increasing in value, which would have enabled them to then dump all of their stock and make a profit. And I think this is what's happening all across YouTube right now, because I did some investigative work whilst my channel was down, and I found that there were lots of other channels that were showing exactly the same crypto scam as mine. And these channels had millions of subscribers. Mixi Gaming, 7.3 million subscribers and 3.3 billion views. Ali Coca, 2.4 million subscribers and 1.9 billion views. Lockdown Life, 1.6 million subscribers, 203 million views. And SJ Body, 2.1 million subscribers and 1 billion views. Now, they're just 4 of the channels that I found during the brief investigation that I did. But I know that there are lots of other YouTube channels that have been hit by this scam over the course of the last month or so. And it's because they're targeting the bigger channels. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, the scam that they've come up with is really believable. And because they're playing the long game, they're sending multiple emails and sending all this really professional looking attachments. That's how they're getting people. It's waiting and waiting and waiting and then hitting you at the last minute. So unfortunately, this isn't just happening to me. This is happening across the board. And I think there will be more channels being taken down over the course of the next month or so. So if you know anybody that's being hit by this, then tell them to watch this video, because I'm now going to tell you how to fix the problem. As I mentioned earlier in the video, what the scammers did is completely change all of my security details for my Gmail account. And your Gmail account is linked to your YouTube account. And if you lose access to your Gmail account, you therefore can't get access to your YouTube account. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, there is no way of contacting either Gmail or YouTube to be able to notify them of this and to rectify the situation. And that is the scary part. Now, one of the first messages I received from a Patreon was telling me about a YouTuber called Sikra, who I didn't know, but does drawing on YouTube. And this exact thing had happened to him. And he'd posted a video saying, I'm now back. It's taken me 3 weeks to get re-control of my channel, which obviously wasn't helping my paranoia at the time. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm looking at 3 weeks here. This is going to be a nightmare. And as part of a video that he posted, he said that the way he got out of it was by going to Twitter, or X as it's now called, and messaging the YouTube creators and telling them what had happened. And he said that it had taken him over a week to actually get any engagement from them. And at that point, that was the only thing I had available to me. So I went onto X, formerly known as Twitter, and messaged the YouTube creators as well as all of the other YouTube handles that I could find. But unfortunately, none of them responded. So I just sat there and nothing happened. And I thought, this can't be the end. This can't be how Joe Blogs finishes, with me just going out with a whimper, sending messages on Twitter that nobody's actually reading or responding to. So I then had a thought, because as a YouTube creator, I previously had a mentor. YouTube set you up with a system where they provide you with support once you get to the point where you start actually earning advertising revenue for your videos. Now, unfortunately, the mentor that I had, the email address, was in my Gmail account. And obviously, I didn't have access to that Gmail account. So I couldn't actually find out what the email address was. And I searched on the internet to try to find those addresses, but you just can't get them because it's only YouTube creators that have access to that system. And at that point, I had a thought, because I've got a family member who's also a YouTuber. I encouraged him a few years ago to start up a channel, and he did so, and so he's now in the scheme. So I contacted Gary and said, Gary, can you help me? Can you contact the YouTube guys and tell them exactly what's happening to me? And please get them to message me on my second email. And within around an hour, I got an email from those guys and they said, we've heard all about what's happening to you. This is a nightmare. Please fill in this form, which is an official form registering a problem with your YouTube account. So I filled this online form in, and then I had to wait for around probably 3 or 4 hours before anything happened. They then came back to me and said, we need some more details. You need to tell us more information about this hack, how it happened, and then tell us exactly what's changed on your channel. So I was then in contact with YouTube, and this put my mind at ease that something was going to happen. Now, it didn't happen very quickly. It still took another couple of days before they took down the hacker's channel. But at least I was able to start talking to somebody. And that's exactly what anybody who's in this situation should do. You need to contact somebody who's a YouTuber, who's got access to those YouTube guys, because they're the only real people that you can actually get in touch with. And those real people can start the ball rolling in terms of, firstly, closing down the hackers, and then secondly, restoring your channel. Now, it did actually take around 3 days before the hackers were kicked out of the channel. It then took another 48 hours before I regained access to my YouTube account. I got access back to my Gmail account much quicker. That only took around a day. So I was able to go back into Gmail and see what was happening in there and start to change all of my security settings. But the next scary moment was when I received an email saying your YouTube channel has now been deleted. Now, obviously, I wasn't very happy about that. I was happy that the hackers no longer had control of it, but I was very unhappy that it had actually been deleted. So I then had to go back to the YouTube guys and say, please help me. I've got a notification saying my YouTube channel's been deleted. They said, you can submit an appeal about that. They gave me another form to fill in. I filled in all the details. I then got another form saying we haven't got enough information, give us some more information. So I was going in these literal loops, sending lots and lots of information. But eventually I then got an email saying, your channel has been recovered and we're going to return it to you. When I got it back, it still wasn't right. It still had Ripple as the title. We still had a logo for Ripple. I managed to replace them. It's still showing here and there on YouTube because they don't update all of their systems instantly. Some of it takes a bit of time, but it has been changed. YouTube have confirmed to me that there's no longer any hacks. Nobody's got control. Everything has been returned to me. But it was a horrible, horrible time. And if you're in that situation now, firstly, don't panic because you will get it back. Secondly, the hackers didn't actually delete any of my videos. They just made them all private. It was time consuming to go back in and change them from private to public because I've got around 1,000 videos and you have to do it individually for every single one. But thank goodness they didn't delete my videos. They didn't decide to just burn my channel. They left it all there. They just took over. So I have to be thankful for small mercies that they didn't do that because I've now recovered all of that work which I've been putting together for the last 3 years. So I'm happy about that. But if you're in this exact situation, I would highly recommend contacting another YouTuber. If you're not in this situation and you are a YouTuber, I'd also recommend getting in contact with at least one other YouTuber. Have somebody as your backup buddy so that if you do find yourself in this nightmare scenario, you've got somebody to go to be able to say, can you please reach out to the YouTube guys, get them to contact me, and then you can start the ball rolling in terms of recovering everything. Now, before I go on with the story and go on to thanking everybody for all of the support that I've received over the course of the last 4 or 5 days, I just wanted to say how depressing the situation was. The immediate feeling that I had when my Gmail and YouTube channels were hacked and I lost everything was just that horrible sense of doom when you just think the worst is going to happen. There's always that thought at the back of everybody's mind that something could go wrong at any point. And I'm not just talking about YouTube here. I'm talking about life in general. We all have those dark thoughts lurking at the back of your brain saying something bad is going to happen. Something is around the corner that's going to bring everything crashing down. And unfortunately for me, on Thursday the 28th of March, all of my worst nightmares came true because I've been working on building this channel for the last 3.5 years. This has really been a labour of love, which has then become a passion and is now my main form of business. It's really become an obsession for me. I like to do a video most days. It's my first thought when I wake up in the morning. I want to put together an interesting story, something that I think will really capture everybody's imagination, but also help you to understand what's going on in the world, give you a bit more clarity as to why things are happening, and hopefully my explanations and a bit more information help to expand your horizons and start to think about the world in a different way. That's really the driving force behind why I'm doing this. And around midnight on Thursday the 28th of March, all of that was taken away. And I had that horrible feeling when you just think, well, that's it. It's game over. There's no way back from this. This is as good as it gets. You've come to the end of the road. There's no way forward here. And the fact that I couldn't get in touch with Gmail or YouTube really wasn't helping me. And that was a really horrible evening. I didn't get much sleep on Thursday the 28th of March. I was up most of the night at my computer trying to fix the problem and repeatedly failing and constantly watching this live stream video that was showing constantly on my channel and trying to think about all of you guys out there thinking, what's going on? Why has Joe Blogs suddenly become a cryptocurrency channel? I don't really get it. So I was trying to get the message out to everybody. And I posted those two messages instantly onto Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. And the response was absolutely phenomenal. I started almost instantly getting messages of support from everybody, firstly through those two platforms, and then secondly through the new channel that I'd set up. Within a matter of hours of setting that channel up, I had more than 1,500 subscribers and around 1,500 messages from people saying, we love what you're doing, please don't lose heart, please carry on, you will be able to get through this, even if you don't get your old channel back, we'll support you through the new channel. And the amount of financial support was absolutely mind-bending. I literally got hundreds of coffees. People who'd never used Buy Me a Coffee before were sending me coffees, and people were sending me multiple coffees, 5 or 10 at a time. It was absolutely incredible. I also had a wave of people sign up for Patreon. More Patreons than I'd ever seen before. The numbers more than doubled in the space of a matter of days. And people who were already patrons were messaging me saying, I've increased the amount that I'm supporting you with. I've doubled my amount. I've tripled my amount. And all of this support really kept me going because it was a horribly dark period. And the other thing that kept me going, and this is something that I would recommend to anybody if you're in a situation like this, and I'm not talking about YouTube, I'm talking about anything in life that really knocks you back. Those major setbacks that you think, I'm never going to be able to get through this. This is it. This is the end of my world. Family and friends are really important at times like that. And it just happened, coincidentally, that I'd arranged a trip to see some of my family. And interestingly, when the hack first happened, I did briefly think, should I cancel that trip and just focus on sorting this out? But actually, there was nothing I could do about it. I was failing time and time again to be able to resolve the situation. And I thought, actually, maybe I should just go, get away, stop thinking about YouTube for a few days and let things take their course. So I did that. And it was really helpful because talking to friends and family just about anything, it doesn't have to be about your problems. And predominantly, I wasn't talking about what was happening with YouTube. I was just talking about everything that was going on in everybody else's lives. And actually, that helped to put things into perspective for me and realize that life isn't all about just one thing. It isn't just about whatever you're doing for work or the next thing that you've got lined up that day or what you've got to tick off your agenda. There are lots of things happening. Other people's lives are carrying on all the time. And really, you need to put things into perspective. So that really helped me to get through that period. But the thing that really helped me was all of the support that I received. And I mentioned it earlier in the video, but Jake Bro was really helpful. Jake's somebody that I know through YouTube. We had some correspondence a long time ago. He invited me to appear onto his channel. He does a Q&A with various YouTubers, and he invited me probably around 18 months ago. That didn't actually work out, but potentially I might do that now because Jake was really helpful. He put up a message on his homepage about what was happening and encouraged people to come over and join Joe Blogs 2.0. And off the back of that, Darren from Professor Gerda's also posted 2 videos, and he reached out to me, sent me some emails, and it was really helpful because I could see that other people were wanting to help me. But you guys, my followers, my subscribers, my supporters, really helped to carry me through this. all of the messages that you sent me, all of the words, I read every single one of those, and it really helped to keep my spirits going and to keep me going through that whole period, because there were some very dark, bleak periods. But knowing that everybody is loving the channel, that you wanted me to come back, that you wanted to see the content continuing, really, really helped me. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Your support was absolutely vital in my hour of need. Really, really appreciate all of the help. So what's the summary and conclusion today? Well, I think the learning point from today's video is that you need to be extra vigilant at all times. It is very easy to become blasé about the risk of being hacked or somebody stealing your details. And it's one of those things that you think, it's never going to happen to me. It's always these idiots that aren't really looking out for these things. I'm pretty vigilant. It will never come my way. But unfortunately for me, it did come my way. And the reason that it did was because I was very, very busy. I was doing a lot of work, constantly working night and day, and I'd started to do some integrations again. I just started to get back into it. I've only done a handful over the last 6 months, maybe 2 or 3. And when I got this approach, I thought, do you know what? This looks like the sort of thing that I'd like to be involved with. And I got really swept up in everything about it. It looked really impressive. It was a really, really good scam. And the fact that they didn't try to get me on the first email or the second email or the third email just got me comfortable that this looked genuine. I became absolutely relaxed. And so when I got that final email that had the media kit in it that needed to be clicked into, normally I would have thought, actually, I'm not opening that. I don't open attachments in emails. That is the #1 rule on the internet. Never click into something sent by somebody that you don't know. But because it was a business thing, and because I thought I was working with these guys and it looked very professional and it was very similar to lots of other campaigns that I've done in the past, I thought it will be fine. And I clicked it, and I actually did it late at night as well, I think, which is another learning point. Don't do something when you're tired, just before you're going to go to bed. You think, I'll just do this before I go to bed. It will all be fine, because you might find yourself in the same situation as me, where you end up staying up all the way through the night trying to fix the problems that has just caused you. So I think the message really is be vigilant. Don't open anything in an email that's sent to you unless it's somebody that you absolutely know who sent it to you, because there is always the risk of malware. And in terms of why the VPN I was using didn't work, that might be a question that you've got. How come I had all this security and it didn't work? Well, the reason is because you have to bypass it. When you click open attachment, the VPN pops up and says, warning, do not open this attachment. It could be infected. And of course, when it's from somebody that you know, you say ignore or yes, I want to carry on. So if you're in that exact situation, make sure you think twice before you click override. Is it definitely from somebody that you know, before you decide to drop all of your security? So that's the learning point, I think, in terms of why this happened. But in terms of the bigger learning point here, what I really wanted to say is you need to remember your own worth. What you're doing is important. And I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about all of us. Everybody has got people that are supporting them and rooting for them. And you need to remember that, particularly during your darkest moments. And I have to say, it's always darkest before the dawn. And the dawn realization that I've had over the course of the last week is that a lot of people love this channel. A lot of people are really enjoying the content. I've got a lot of support from people that don't tell me on a daily basis, and I don't want you to. I don't want everybody to send me lots of messages every single day saying you're doing a great job. I don't need that. But at the time when I needed it most, when I thought this is the end of the road, Joe Blogs is finished, it's not going to carry on, I need to go and do something else because it's just too painful to carry on looking at some hackers who've now taken and stolen my channel. Everybody got together, you were rooting for me, you sent me those messages, you bought me those coffees, you signed up as patrons, and that really made me realise that everybody is really enjoying the channel and that it is worthwhile and it was worth fighting for. And I did that and I've got it back and I am so, so happy. So the final message from today's video is thank you so much for all of your support. I've said it hundreds of times before, but I really, really mean it. You mean a lot to me. You've helped me through this dark period. Thank you. And it won't happen again. I've got some really exciting news for you. I've decided to give away another one of my statues, and this time it's this guy, the man on stilts. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that this is one of the original pieces that I've been showing in the background for the last few years. This is a truly amazing piece. I absolutely love it. And it's made by a British artist called Paul Moggetts, and he makes a limited number of each one of his pieces, and I've managed to secure a second one of these. But I'm giving this one away, which is the original one that I've had in the background for the last few years. And if you'd like to win it, you just need to buy a ticket in the raffle, which are priced at £1 each, which is around $1.30. So very affordable. So if you'd like to support the channel, rather than buying me a coffee or sending me a YouTube super thanks, why don't you buy a ticket in the raffle and you could have this in your home some point soon. Now, in terms of organising this, I've got an independent company to collect the cash and make the draw for me. So I won't be choosing it. It will be entirely at random. And I will post this anywhere in the world to whoever wins it. There is a possibility that you may need to pay a little bit of import duty depending on where you live and what the rules are. But I will send this anywhere. So if you'd like to win it, please buy a ticket in the raffle and good luck.